Okay, so here we are. We're back. Welcome back, and we're going to do a little bit of more fun with data now. Do some somewhat more dynamic data. We're going to locate it in this map, and we're going to then set up our little filters a little more. These nice little things that we made. Okay, so let's head out, and what we're going to look up, what I kind of thought would be cool, is earthquake data worldwide. So it's kind of what I was looking for. You can see I did have things show up. Now where were they? Are they here? Here we are. So we just go to this earthquake.usgs. You can see they have all kinds of information about worldwide earthquakes. So we can go over here to, you can see here they say you should use the real-time JSON feeds, and if you click on that, it brings you over here to JSON summary format, and you can see the kind of data that we're going to be getting. And here on the right hand side are some links to actual geoJSONs. You can see down here in the bottom of the screen that it's a geoJSON, and I can actually open this link. And you can see there's nothing in this one. It's the past hour's significant earthquakes, so nothing has happened. Now we don't have to check what significant means exactly. You know, they have these different magnitudes. And every sort of data that we go and get could potentially be totally in a different layout or way. It's up to everybody to do data in their own form. I was considering using the Twitter API for this, but in terms of just setting up all the authentication and documentation is a little complicated, but there are some geo things you can do with Twitter, but it's a lot more complicated. You can see it's just totally different kind of API documentation than this particular one. So I thought this was very simple and we can use this. So let's find a little bit of data that actually is good. Maybe we can go to the past day, all the small earthquakes. Looks like there's quite a lot of them when we see the length of this JSON. So that might be kind of interesting. So what we could do is come back to this and actually just save this as a file. So save link as, and we'll just save it as earthquakes day and save that in my downloads. And we'll open up our files, go back to the right directory here, just drag it in. Okay, so now I got earthquakesday.geojson. So nothing will change here, but let's see if things load in nicely. So we'll come back to our index, and let's see. We have here adding the countries. So now I'm just going to add another call that's going to add earthquakes. Okay, and I think we just called it earthquakes day .geojson in this case. Okay, and now there's just it's just the features. They'll just get added. So I don't know what it's going to look like, but let's see if something happens. Oh, my server actually wasn't going. I'm going to go back and use my little Python command here that creates a little simple server. So we'll just reload this. There we go, we're back. So what happened? Looks like we got probably an error because nothing's happening. Uh-oh. So what's the deal? Let's reload that. Alright, looks like it's okay. So things have loaded. It was maybe just a little slow in that beginning, or the server wasn't quite ready. And you can see there's quite a lot of markers. The map has got a little slower. So we're going to maybe do something a little different here. And maybe we'll make these, instead of being markers, I wouldn't mind making them circles, you know, and maybe the circles can be like equivalent width based on their magnitude. So we can see like where the most intense earthquakes are rather than just random thing like this. So, okay, let's go back to Leaflet, and we have to, in this case, be using this geoJSON thing. So actually one of the options that we talked about is point to layer. Okay, we use that down here, point to layer actually. Why don't we just go copy that? And we'll come back up and place it right in here. And we have our point to layer, and then we'll change this to being a circle. So we're going to return a circle instead of a marker. And we're not going to have an icon on that. Instead, we're going to have a radius. So I think we can just put it right in, and let's just for now make it like 10,000 so we can see if something actually happens here. Looks like we do have these circles. That's pretty cool. So now let's find out on our data what it looks like. Looks like, which one are we interested in? This one's earthquakes day.geojson, and here's this one, so the first one. Okay, so we have a bunch of bounding box information. We have the features. Let's open them up and look at the properties. So right there we see that mag, where is it? Mag 2.2. Okay, so mag is a number and it's in the properties, so we can use that and say maybe we'll do 10,000 times, and then we'll say the geojson point dot geometry. Oh no, it'll be dot properties dot mag. Okay, that might work. Let's see how that works. So we can't really see it too clearly, the different sizes. Maybe we have to make this a little bit higher of a ratio. There we go. We can see that they are slightly different sizes. There's some here that are small and some out here that are quite large. All these different size circles depending where this has happened. So that's pretty interesting. We could also, of course, now maybe style it a little bit nicer. So maybe the fill opacity could be 0.3, and maybe I'll make the fill color will be black, and we'll also make the color to be black, and the opacity to all be just a stable color on these. It's a little bit cooler. You can kind of see the overlay of the opacity really shows that there's a lot in certain places. And maybe I want to reduce this a little. Maybe instead of making it that, I'll make it half of what it was. Yeah, that's a little more accurate feeling. Okay. Now we also can see that this seems to be underneath this other layer, so we want to clean that up and bring that to the front. So that's a fairly simple command. We can actually just run geojson.bring to front right after we add it, and that should just automatically create it, unless it gets added first, in which case we have to account for that along the way. And one of those is to use now our earthquakes geojson thing here, and just make sure that we're actually sharing this variable across both of these that are going to load. So right now we weren't saving our geojson objects actually into any variable outside of the fetch call, so we're just going to do that now and just save it there, so that now if either of them is loaded, I can make sure that this geojson always gets brought to the front. So I'll see, bring to front. Okay, so now if it has been already defined here, then it'll be brought to the front even after the other one's loaded. So there we go, we can see it's on top now. So now we're starting to get into the idea of scoping out our map information and our variables. You can see that here I've just made them like available within basically our little application. And that's fine because we're going to be using these throughout to do a lot of filtering and different things inside events. So yeah, here we go. Now one interesting thing we could do is we could also set up something to make this query it actually on a live basis. If this was data that was changing, say every 10 seconds, I could set up something called like a set interval call or set timeout and run those over and over, and this data would dynamically be able to change. So from here, let's think about what we're going to do in terms of our filters and our functionality. So we'd like to do something with, where maybe these have happened. Maybe we even want to get one that has more data. Be able maybe to analyze like when we hover over a country, maybe it'll just, or hover over an area on the map, it'll just show that the ones that are inside that area, or maybe we can have it be able to count the number of earthquakes that happen in certain countries. Some of it might be hard because some of these areas aren't actually within our polygons, they're a little bit outside, so they might be in the ocean. So here, for instance, some of our count is just not going to happen. So we may have to then say, okay, well, how many just happen in the ocean in addition to happening inside countries? So there's a lot of different things we could do here. We could also filter by magnitude. So we're probably going to do that. We're going to set up some filters to do live checking of names of places where these have happened, as well as checking by magnitude. And then we're also going to create a couple little things that will help us display some information as people hover over the map, show the amount of them that are in an area, or the average magnitude. So these are the kind of things we're going to learn to do, and it should ultimately help you not only with some of the basics of building a map, as with these little layering things, but also with manipulating data inside and outside of typical map application. So we're going to put some basic stuff in here, the things that come up when they hover, and we're going to put some more advanced information, some calculation stuff in the sidebar that we created. And we're also going to add a little bit of information actually in pop-ups maybe when they click. So I hope you're looking forward to all that. It's going to take a little while to get through, but it'll be pretty awesome once we do it.